Good morning, fellow Longhorns. This is IT Live, and it's brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Tex Homer. That's Paul Wadlington. We're going to talk about most improved position rooms at Texas, and then around our opponents as well. We gotta understand it in context, Paul. It doesn't matter if we improved; if someone else improved even more, right, Paul? And
That's
then
right.
we will discuss the combine. Some good stuff, crazy, not a crazy class this year. Maybe next year we'll have a big one, but we'll see who did well and who didn't do as well. But first, I want you to head over to Inside Texas, where you can join for $1. The link is in the description below, right below this video. Come join us. Spring ball is about to start, so get in the club now because the good news is about to start flowing.
We got practices kicking off, what, March 10th, March 11th?
Monday.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. But it's like Monday for like 3 days of non-pads and then spring break. So they kind of tease you right up front. I prefer to just get after it. But basically,
I would never schedule it to have spring break like before my spring practices.
Basically, guys are just going to line. They've been doing tape study, and so basically they're just going to line them up and be like, "Now you got to show us, what you saw on tape," and then they'll go to hang out.
Then they get to go to the Padre.
Good morning, Justin Wales. No hat today, Paul, as you can see from Utah Horn. He's looking good, man. He's looking sharp. Roaster, good morning. All right, Paul. You can only pick one on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball for Texas. What are the most improved rooms? You can pick your side, whatever you'd like.
Boy, that's actually hard.
Yeah, because otherwise we'd end up listing 7 rooms. So that's why I'm trying to. All
right, maybe chat and you can help me break the tie. Let's have a conversation, Connor.
Wow,
that's what we're here for.
Well, I got mine.
I'm used to just telling you guys what to think. Because generally, if you just substitute your opinion with mine, your opinion will improve, right? But I need everyone's feedback. I come down to wide receiver versus running back.
I'm running back. I'm running back for sure.
Well, yeah, I knew you were going to be running back.
Yeah, I'm running back without a question.
I think so. Here's the argument why wide receiver gets in the conversation. Cam Coleman. I don't think we fully know how good he is. And also, I think our incoming freshmen are good, man. Like, I know everybody knows Jermaine Bishop is really exciting. I'm just saying the early perceptions of Cohen Brown are very good. So this may be a unit with more upside than we think. The running back improvement to me is obvious. I mean, it's something you and I have been harping on for well over a year, right? We remade the room entirely. We thought it was a year late. Hey, kind of speaking of the combine, you went and did a scan of who was available a year and a half ago in the portal, and it was guys like Mike Washington, who just went and ran a 4.3 at 225 pounds, right?
Yeah, crazy.
And we saw him live. I saw him. I was in the stadium in Austin watching him truck our guys and outrun people. But we did get it done, and we brought in a couple of really good guys. And I think some of the younger guys we have on tap are pretty good as well. So to me, that is obvious. But if Cam Coleman has 1,200 yards receiving and 13 touchdowns, didn't we improve? I mean, we probably improved that room the most because we think Wingo and Mosley are only going to get better, right?
Yeah, to me, I'm kind of taking it from last year. So to me, I thought we had a good wide receiver room last year, above average, but not elite. So it could go from good to like really special. But in running back, I think you're going from bad to pretty good. So I just think the leap there is much wider.
We were a bottom quartile SEC running back room.
Yeah.
And now we're going to be a top quartile. Is that fair?
Yeah.
We're not the best.
No, I haven't really thought of it that way. But it's just, moving from non-functional to works well, and you have to pay attention to it.
I guess I'm just thinking, so Cam Coleman could just be good, which is great. That helps us a lot. What if he's like the best guy on the field?
Yeah.
Then you kind of get into a different stratosphere, because I don't think either Smothers or Leak Brown at their top game are as good as Cam Coleman. But if you look at it from a distance improvement, right? A journey is measured in the distance traveled, then running back wins, right? I mean, you're just, because we were so bad.
Yeah, and I think your argument about wide receiver depth is another way you can take it. Like you said, there's a lot more guys to be excited about. Natural growth of Mosley and Wingo, of course, Cam, but the younger guys, Bishop, Cohen Brown, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think there's probably more depth in wide receiver room and more future excitement. But I was just going the simplistic move there.
Hey, you know what would even be a better answer for the football team?
What?
Arch Manning.
Yeah.
If he goes from good to like runaway Heisman winner, and the other units are just improved, we're cooking with gas, right?
Yeah. What do you think on defense?
You know what?
This one's harder for me.
This is harder because you're having to do a lot of projection. You're having to do a lot of wishing and hoping on this one, right? Are we making edge room a separate category, or are we calling that D line?
No, we can make it a separate category.
Okay, then yeah, that's the answer.
You think it's,
Right?
but that's the problem with me is almost it's like it could be the most improved.
It could be the
but it was
best,
already
but not the most improved.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, because even with interior D line too, like all those guys are returning. So it's like,
what if our corners are better?
So that's what my thought is. Immediately, I kind of key in. It's not linebacker room.
No,
so
probably not DT.
Yeah, because those guys are all back, so they could take a normal progression, but it wouldn't be like most improved because it's still a lot of the same guys. Same with edge.
If we throw corner in with nickel, there is a world where we have the best corners and nickel combo in the SEC. That's possible, right?
Yeah.
But it's all projection. We don't know.
Yeah, they're young. I immediately went to secondary, and then I tried to think about safety, and I'm like, is losing Taff for Williams a likely jump? And I'm not sure about that. Jelani is still Jelani.
Yep.
So he returned. So there's only two safeties. There's not a lot of room there. But it's, to me, it would have to be potentially corner. Even though we had bad secondary play, but I thought our corners were fine.
They were. Our issues were
But I think they can improve the most, right? If those young guys do activate, and if you get like a Phillips, Littleton, and then who else? They were saying it could be Littleton and Phillips at corner and Masco at nickel. Eric was saying,
they like Masco at nickel because he's just a lockdown guy. And he's got a great change of direction, so he's good with like little 5'9" slots that usually give your long corners trouble.
Yeah.
Here's the way to look at it. Maybe our best corners will be as good as Malik Muhammad if they live up to their potential, but then we'll have a higher floor than what Jalen Gilbo provided. Right.
Yeah.
He wasn't bad for us last year.
Right.
But he wasn't great.
Yeah, especially after we had seen Jahdae Barron's nickel play. So we had this crazy comparison.
Crazy.
But I agree. I think it's running back, and then I can hear the argument for wide receiver, and then I think it's probably corner nickel combination.
Yeah, I think the defense is a problem because there's less to improve. Mm-hmm. The offense we didn't have very good personnel last year. In some spots. Texas should never have bottom quartile personnel at a skill position. Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure.
That's embarrassing, right?
Especially running back. They're the easiest eval. They're the fastest NFL projection. They're everywhere, and you can get them from anywhere at the lower ranks too. It's like that position's really unforgivable for me.
Yeah, and we made bad choices in recruiting. I never understood some of our takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of our freshmen that you and I remember watching his huddle being like, why? Was that Ricky Stewart?
It could have been. Our number twos were really
He ended up at SFA. Did you know that?
Yeah. Our number twos were really questionable there for a while. Like our number one would be like somebody that was a 5-star or former 5-star. But if you looked at the batch of 3 or 4 5-stars, he'd always be like the one you were kind of like, I don't know if that's a 5-star. So you take that as our number one. And then our number twos were just kind of odd. Even Trey Wisner was odd in that regard. Cause like you said, he got bumped to play wide receiver his senior year. So he didn't even play running back. He got beat out of his spot. So it's like we would just take kind of a whatever number two. And then because the room didn't pan out, our number twos are being forced into like leading roles. But that's very different now. Hopefully.
Oh, Justin Wales with a good comment in the chat. He said, the one position that needed the most improvement has not been said 10 minutes into the video. choice is good. Don't need the portal.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you mean the running back coach, Justin?
Yeah, he would have to be.
Well,
the one position that needed the most improvement has not said. It's not who needs the most improvement. It's who needed the most improvement is offensive line. But
yeah,
we're not saying that they're the most improved.
Yeah,
who did improve. So yeah, I would agree. I would prefer that to be, but that doesn't appear to be the case right now. Now, if they go from whatever the hell they were doing earlier in the season to just being sound, that could actually be that improvement. But it's kind of hard to project with one guy. We don't even know if he's going to get eligibility. Other guys are injured. Guys are moving positions in the spring. It's really hard to project that room right now. I wouldn't expect to hear great things.
Yeah, O-line needed the most improvement, but it didn't get it. So
someone asked those two running backs don't do much dancing behind the line. Do they hate that? So I'm doing a Hollywood Smothers film study. I'm writing an article, it'll be on the board, just like an evaluation of players. And what I thought was really tough is Smothers oftentimes is having to bounce outside, but I have the back view. So is this a choice? No, it's not. NC State was 96 in the country in yards before carry.
Yeah,
meaning that
really bad O-line,
and they were 9th in yards after contact.
Oh, that's good.
They had to, so they were getting, those running backs were getting demolished behind the line all the time, and they still made a lot of work. So Smothers had to work for everything he did. And when he did bounce outside, I'd look at the back end, and they were just getting blown up. But he would always read what he was supposed to do. He would always step at it. And then if it wasn't there, he would try to break outside. But it wasn't that nervous kind of fast running back problem where they just go straight. So they just had a really bad running back room at NC, or linebacker room at NC. Damn. Offensive line room. Sorry, having a stroke.
Had a short circuit
line room at NC State. And then I haven't watched Brown yet with Arizona State, but I think Smothers is really sound in his progressions, and you won't see him just forcing it outside because he wants to type of thing.
One thing to know about Arizona State is they are not gap heavy, they're zone heavy. So inside zone, outside zone. And Raleek would run it in there on inside zone. He doesn't break tackles. Yeah. It's a size thing. I mean, he's trying to squirt and find a hole.
So same with Smothers. If you hit Smothers dead on, it's just a physics issue. He's like 190, right? So he'd go down. But Smothers does a good job of running forward, getting hit from the side, and then he'll keep going and fall down for an extra 2. But both of them are not going to meet guys heads up in the A gap, and that's just not their running style. But that's not necessarily what we need to have success there.
Yeah, neither fulfills the Texas big running back tradition. Ricky Williams, Earl Campbell, no. These are scat backs, and we're gonna have to, they're gonna be at their best with each getting 10 or 12 touches, and then you bring in some change up off the bench. It's gonna be by committee. We're not gonna have a single running back rush for 1,500 yards, I don't think. If they do, well, cool. Something probably good happened, right?
Hey man, when those 5 times a game when the hole is there, if they can go and get 40, I think that's what you need. Is Mark Stoops doing coaching on the offensive side or defensive side? He's the special assistant to the head coach, I believe. So he could really do whatever. Well, he's a defensive coach.
Input on offense, I promise you.
Right. But I wonder how much of it, too, is just kind of coaching logistics, just helping the coach in the day-to-day operations. I mean, it's nice if he can help with Muschamp and Gideon. Those are all guys that have defensive coordinator minds, which is good. But I think, too, it's just probably a logistics thing to help Sark as well.
Could be. I also think he's a guy you can put on an opponent 4 weeks out, and then he'll bring you – because usually you do your forward scouts with some GAs, stuff like that. It really helps to have like a head coach with a strong defensive or offensive background. In this case, defensive. You can go put him on LSU 5 weeks out, and then he'll have a comprehensive game plan the minute you roll into that week, right?
I want him on the developmental side, or just paying attention to develop, because I've always liked Kentucky's athletes, man. They're always huge too. Remember when we were watching Kentucky tape? It's like, this is a big team year in and year out.
Yeah, they're always big and strong.
And they have some stars too. So him just taking a glance too at the overall development of guys in the program too, I think would be beneficial. That was something that Kentucky was always good at. Don't necessarily want their offense or anything like that, but and they're also good at dragging people into mud fights. So that's got to be some scouting stuff too.
He's incredibly risk averse, so we don't want him consulting with Sark in game on any decision making. This is a dude who punts Remember when they were playing Georgia and like down to the wire 2 years ago?
Yep.
And they had the ball on like the Georgia 49 with a few minutes left in the game and a chance to win. And they punted on like 4th and 4. And the ball went in the end zone. And Georgia like just ran out the clock and won.
Well, they went aggressive versus us, and it didn't work either.
Well, we had the slightly better team.
Yeah, but they had some aggression there. But I've always liked
Sark gets along with the Stoops brothers.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. He tried to hire
funny because I know a couple of friends who were like going nuts when this hire was made, and I was kind of like, "What are you so upset about?" And then I was like, "It's Mark Stoops," and they were like, "Oh, we thought it was Mike." They were all going crazy. But I was like, no.
I remember when it got vetoed by the fans the first round.
I remember it well. I was involved in that.
Yeah, Sark didn't understand the dynamics. He's like, "What? I'm trying to hire a good coach."
He literally apparently woke up in the morning, and his cell phone was just full of messages of people being like, no. Yeah. And he was like, damn. All right.
Which is also a crazy thing to do. Like, if he thinks that's a real good hire and you're just like, we will not improve.
He didn't know.
Right.
He doesn't know that. He doesn't know all the
dynamics. I know. I'm saying on our end, it's whack for him to like try to hire a good coach. And we're like, no, just because of his association.
Well, there was other stuff.
Oh, there's other stuff.
I know this intimately. Trust me. Yeah. I was coaching some alums on like who were outraged by this. And I was kind of coaching them on what the deal was, and I think that reached Sark. So
we're going to talk about some of our competition. Unfortunately, they've improved in some ways as well. But before we do that, let's hear a word from Academy.
You can't guard me? You need a break to L tonight. Do you need a break?
Ben! Your mom called. Looks like you're stuck with us tonight.
Let's go! Give me a shred.
I'd be just hitting threes on them. They back up way too much to play good defense, man.
Yeah, you do need to get a hand in a guy's face. That's unacceptable.
Exactly.
We want to polish off these comments in the chat before we jump in our opponents.
No. Okay. All right, what do we got here? Which ones do you want to hit?
Do we think Smothers or Brown will start? Doesn't matter. But if I had to guess, I'd say Smothers. I don't think it'll mean anything.
Yeah. To me, Smothers is just a little bit more polished. And like I said, he progresses. Like, he's playing running back. And, of course, I haven't broken down Brown, so don't think that I'm saying that he's not playing running back. But Smothers, to me, and I'll see, but he was really sound and efficient in his reads, and that's what I like, especially if we're playing outside zone and we're trying to get 40-yard runs. That's how you get them. You look here, blocked, okay, back door. So it's like I'm looking for that. And NC State ran a lot of outside zone too. So
yes,
we got to see that. So that's all that stuff to me is a good sign of a back that'll be able to get those explosives we were missing so dearly.
And NC State didn't really have a run threat quarterback. Their quarterback's a decent athlete, but they didn't use him in the run game.
He was really good for the option attack, and I noted that in the article that he'll be really good to pair with Arch because teams are very aware of him flaring out and they expand with him, and so it does let the quarterback on the back end. He rarely ever pass blocks, which is a sign. I mean, every play action and stuff, he's still finding she should be blocking, but generally they're flaring him way out. So
Sugar
we don't
Pop
really have pass blockers.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying we just don't really have pass blockers here.
Sugar Poppy says, I know it's not going to happen under Sark, but man, I would love a big power back. Well, he tried to have a big power back. Didn't work. Sark's very open to big backs. He had a lot of success at running at Alabama with a big back, right? So, yeah, Sark's not opposed to it. He likes a big running back that can do all the things, but, ultimately they're not super common. So.
All righty. Let's look at these damn opponents. The Oklahoma Sooners. These are our opponents' most improved rooms, correct?
Yes. So only our opponents, but we could talk about other SEC teams if you guys are interested. Just throw them out in the chat.
Yeah.
The idea is, where did they go? Kind of almost like our running back room. Mm-hmm. Where did they go from like the bottom quartile of the SEC up to the top quartile? Or did they just even get improved to average? That's a huge improvement, right?
Yeah.
Oklahoma tight end, arguably the biggest improvement in college football.
It has to be. They were horrific.
If you guys didn't watch our deep dives last year previewing Oklahoma and then reviewing the game after, Ian and I were literally in tears laughing at the blocking attempts of some of the OU tight ends just getting destroyed by Anthony Hill, Zena Umuzolu, Lance Jackson, Colin Simmons. I mean, I don't mean they got beaten. I mean, they got grabbed, like shaken, and then just like discarded like a child.
Like highlight tape. They gave up multiple highlight tape.
Unbelievable how bad they were. Well, I regret to inform you guys that they got a lot better in this room. So they went and got Hayden Hansen, who started 34 games for Florida. He was that big 6'7", 270-pound tight end. They also got Rocky Beers, amazing name, from Colorado State.
Incredible.
Don't go to the state of Colorado for skill players per se, but do go to the state of Colorado for your tight ends, because somehow this state churns out innumerable 6'5", 250-pound high school kids. And everyone in this state that's good in football has a tight end on the field or two tight ends. It's not like Texas spread football. And then they got Jack. Go ahead, Connor.
I said Gunnar Helm.
Yeah, Gunnar Helm. We should know. Came from Cherry Creek. That's the big powerhouse here. And then Jack Van Dorselae from Tennessee. Good player, good prospect. He's the third guy in that room. The third guy in their room is a better player than their best guy last year. So, and Hansen and Beers they're gonna go to tight end, and this room really improved, and also OU really improved it at wide receiver. Again, a situation where they were in the bottom of the league, and now they're going to be at least in the middle or maybe even above average. So, I think OU's deep offense overall, they were 54th last year in FEI overall, advanced stats. I think they're going to be 25 or so this year. I think they're going to take a big jump.
I agree. Yeah, I was thinking kind of 20 at the top of their ceiling, but they were missing like crucial aspects to being a good offense. And if you just fix that talent, and the offensive line should be improved too, right? Not insanely, but better.
They finally may be out of portal hell, because they really botched some recruitments, and then they had to go to the portal the last 2.5, 3 years. They went and got some guys like Fasusi and some of these younger guys, and they're just starting them, right? I can tell you historically, when OU has done that, they've just committed to starting the younger guys once they've sort of developed a little bit. They have a pretty good track record. So I think they're getting close to being fixed on the O-line. Right tackle is going to be a problem for them all year. But other than that, I regret to inform you that the Sooners offense got a lot better.
Yeah. And then hopefully you don't have Mateer doing weirder stuff wherever, because he didn't have confidence in his receivers and stuff like that, kind of forcing him to elevate his style of crazy play. So hopefully he can calm down a little bit. And if you can play 12 personnel, you can protect him a tad more so he's not trying to scramble. Some of that's just his personality, but maybe he can be a little bit more refined as well with those pieces added.
Yeah, and Rocky Beers, just so y'all know, he was an all-conference player and set the Colorado State touchdowns record for tight ends. So he's a very capable receiver.
Linebacker, the Vols. I'm really excited for this matchup.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun. That's our SEC opener. And it'll be in Knoxville in front of 105,000.
That's probably my favorite SEC stadium. There's just something about it when they pan out. I know like LSU, but it's a cool stadium, dude. And it's like on top of you. It looks like a real Coliseum there. So I am excited about that one.
Yeah, it's a pretty setting too. They have the whole Vol Navy and all that. And they're obnoxious. And they're going to be fired up because they want to be the real UT. So to that end, I think there's going to be some areas where they struggle a little bit, but linebacker really, really improved. They returned Arian Carter, who went in the portal, then thought he was going to go pro. They brought him back. So he's one of those guys that's kind of up that NIL line of, do you want to go in the late fourth round, or do you want to take $1 million, 1.2 in NIL and get better another year? And I think he made the NIL decision. And then they bring over, so guys, Jim Knowles is now their DC, and he brought over his best linebacker from Penn State, Amari Campbell, who was their leading tackler. He's a good player. They also returned another guy as a 2-year starter. And then their best linebacker last year, most impactful guy, is a guy named Edwin Spillman. and he played a bunch of snaps. He was their third highest ranked defender, and that includes like Colton Hood, who you guys saw maybe in the combine. So this is a great linebacker unit, and Knowles plays that 4-2. So 2 of their guys on the bench would start for most SEC teams. So they're going to rotate a lot, and they're going to have really good linebacker play.
Yeah. Sorry for the offense, guys. Hopefully. Whose side are you on? Hopefully. I hope Mateer goes full Mateer. Apparently, I said hopefully he improves or something. I apologize. Sometimes I just
sometimes your true colors.
I'm
get
so
revealed.
no, I'm so empathetic. I just assume the mindset apparently of the team that I'm talking about. It's just a problem. I'm just like too nice and thoughtful, I guess.
Your heart is too big.
Yeah. Mississippi State quarterback.
Everyone's gonna roll their eyes at this one.
I'm gonna roll my eyes, dude. Shapen. Okay, dude. You're gonna improve from Blake Shapen. We'll see, dude.
Well, the fun fact on Blake Shapen is he never completed a college season as a starter. And that happened again last year because they benched him late. They put in Kamario Taylor as a true freshman quarterback, 6'4", 230, has no idea what he was doing.
Yeah.
Played against Ole Miss, a Final Four team, and he ran for 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, and ran through and around dudes, threw some bombs. One of them got dropped. He is wild. He's super talented. And I'm telling you, this kind of athlete in a veer and shoot offense with Levy calling the shots, he is going to be a problem. If you're an incomplete defense in the SEC and you play these guys, they're going to shred you. I'm telling you. And he's going to have some big up games. He's going to have some bad down games too, hopefully against us. But Kamario Taylor is a dude. He might throw 12 interceptions this year, but I'm telling you, he's scary.
He's going to be the ultimate college quarterback where it's just, he's going to be fun to watch. And I have a lot of respect for Levy. I think he has a great game plan on offense.
He's a good coach. People hate him because of the Briles Association, but he's a good football coach. He's
a good coach, man. And he's really good. He's been sound against Texas. He now we've changed DCs, so maybe that helps, but he's been really good with understanding what PK was trying to do and breaking it. So yeah, I remember when they would bring him in those kind of goal line situations or 4th and short, and he could run around. Shapen's just hilarious because he's the least clutch quarterback I've ever seen. Like when the moment he'll have a good game and be exciting. As soon as it counts, he fails every time. He would fail at Baylor. The least clutch quarterback ever. Really sad to see that end, but Kamario Taylor is someone I am excited to watch for as a fan.
Yeah, if you guys are on Inside Texas, go to that article, search it up, and click on that run. I included on Twitter. It's wild.
So, the Tigers offensive line.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Kiffin improved that bunch. So probably more than any other unit in the league, the LSU offensive line really sank their chances. And Nussmeier proved that he could not handle anything but a clean pocket. It really hurt his draft stock. I don't know if you guys remember this, but a year ago, we were talking about Nussmeier as 1-1.
Yeah.
Which I did not see, but all the NFL people were like, oh, yeah, you see it. It's obvious. Well, he got a dirty pocket this year, and he fell apart. So and the big reason that they were 7-6 last year is the O-line. These guys couldn't pass protect, and they couldn't get any push in the run game. So completely remade it. They went and got Jordan Seaton from Colorado, who will be good. Did they overpay? Sure, but it's not our children's hospital that got robbed. So, who cares if they overpaid if they got the player, right?
Yep.
And then they went and got a good guard from Maryland that I think we were briefly looking at, but didn't come through. Their center is back. It's actually a good player, Braylon Moore. He started at Virginia Tech. He started for them last year at LSU, but he was hurt all year, and you could tell it affected him. He's back. He's 100%. So they've got 3 guys on their O-line now who are dramatically better than anything they had last year. The question now is just getting the other 2 guys to be okay, and their O-line will improve immensely.
And Kiffin's shown that they can go portal heavy and be efficient early, right? So they can win with a portal team quickly, which also matters. That whole 3 years timeline is now totally shrunk with a lot of guys. I mentioned Cade Klubnik. We often get look what happens when you come back. Great things happen, but those guys normally transfers. you do see like last year was really bad. Remember, last year was the year of Lagway, Nussmeyer, Arch, Cade, and all of them had Arch figures it out later on, but all 4 of them had nightmare seasons to some degree. So,
well, but Arch doesn't fit in that because he hadn't been a starting quarterback, right?
yeah, but I'm just talking about hype of what was to come.
I would sub him with Lenoris Sellers because he had an opportunity to go pro.
Yeah,
came back and he struggled. So yeah, people always assume that you'll get better as a quarterback. As often, all of your weaknesses get revealed. So we're gonna have an interesting season with Dante Moore at Oregon, right? Because if he had gone pro, he'd be a top 3 pick.
That was a weird one. That was a real weird move.
I just think he was Drew Aller. That was the best example.
I also think too, like there's something to the NFL thing. You know how like there'll always be this rookie that shows up and everybody's like, "Oh, Tom Brady," and it's really just because they haven't game plan for him. And then the next year he falls off a cliff.
Same thing with baseball. Like if you're a baseball guy, guys get called up to the major all the time. They'll have 9 homers in their first 15 games, and then the rest of the season they hit 150 because the pitchers figure out like what his weaknesses are.
Well, it's like you figure out the scheme too, right? So now you got a year of tape on them most of the time, and you can game plan for them. The ones that turn out well are like the guys that actually move teams, so they're not really sure about him when he transfers into the system too. So I think returning starters in the same system don't tend to have that year, but transfers do. It's
so interesting. Let's look at that for this year then. So maybe Levitt has a big year for LSU, whereas Marcel Reed or Mateer, one of those two, kind of goes into a tailspin. If I had to guess, actually, of the two, I think it might be Marcel Reed.
I think it'll be Marcel Reed because they're not returning as much on offense.
Their offensive line kind of got gutted,
and he got exposed when he had to play quarterback. And now all the teams saw that. That's not really that's not a good thing to get exposed. So that's a processing thing. You can make some jumps, but really he was just throwing the ball to fast receivers and they were doing all the work.
Well, I can tell you, seeing Casey Concepcion in person, even though he didn't really hurt us in Austin, that guy, you held your breath every time he touched the ball because he moved different. He could accelerate differently than any other guy on the field. And I think he's going to be a good NFL receiver.
Yeah. So I do think A&M's offense will take a step back. Okay. Oh, this is all we got here. Good, man. Are there any other honorable mentions?
Well, they're not on the schedule. So I included only teams on our schedule. Byram Brown, quarterback, Auburn. He's replacing Jackson Arnold, the worst quarterback in the SEC. So that is going to be a big improvement. If you guys aren't familiar with Byram Brown's game, another big 6'4", 230-pound dual threat. At South Florida, he is awesome at that veer and shoot. They brought over the entire South Florida receiving corps to Auburn. And that's all you've got to figure out on that offense. Like, that's where you have to be on the same page. Running back and offensive line, that's all intuitive. So in that offense, those guys will pick it up on day 3. And it's always the quarterback and wide receivers being on the same page that you're worried about. Those guys are on the same page. Auburn will be cooking with gas and throwing it deep from the first game on. And Byram Brown is going to be a huge improvement over Jackson Arnold. And he does not sit and hold on to the football, Connor. He gets rid of it or he takes off running.
Yeah. I'm trying to think through in my head who I'm nervous about, but I haven't even. Is this your early scout for the opponent previews coming out at the end of the season? Are you already putting your work in there?
Oh, yeah. I'm putting a little work in.
Paul has given himself annual brutal homework.
That's right. Well, I always tell myself I'm going to write the whole preview by early May, and then I'll just release it, June.
Yeah.
No, that
never happens.
I'm a freaking procrastinator.
Yeah, me too. I think there's something about I need that ticking clock, and I don't know why that's the case.
Unlike Blake Shapen, I'm clutch at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately for my boy Shapes. All righty, Paul. Do you guys want to tell everyone who the best mortgage man in the land is?
Yeah.
You feel like it. Cool.
I'll do that. The guy doesn't need any help. He's that good. But if you guys want to help yourselves, dial this number, 832-557-1095. That's Gabe Winslow. Gabe is fantastic at what he does. Over 20 years in the industry. He's absolutely smart, sharp, and really hardworking. And he's a broker, which means he's in your corner. He's working for you. He's taking your deal and he's going to shop it out to a bunch of different wholesale lenders. He's not going to just give you one quote, one rate from his big bank. If you're going to your local bank to do your mortgage, you're doing it wrong. You don't understand what you're doing. Call this number. Or if you are doing it and you're convinced you're doing it right, great. Just dial this number and shop your deal against him. And when he gives you a much better deal and explains all the different ways that your current group is screwing you, you'll probably go with Gabe. 832-557-1095.
You're the man, Gabe. You're my boy, Blue. Combine.
Dude, these guys get freakier every year, don't they?
Yeah. Let me ask
you, how much of this is, obviously some portion of it is prepping for the test because they tell you what the test is, right?
Yep.
How much of it is that? And then how much of it is actually athletes keep getting better? And then how much of it is we're getting a selection bias?
So me and Eric talked about this yesterday. I think there's a huge selection bias. For one example is every average 40 time for each position, everyone was first ever besides quarterback. Quarterback was second. So the fastest average group across the board. And at that point, you're like, wow, athletes are getting faster. Yeah. But how much of this is just scouts inviting people that they know are fast?
Well, and also, what do you do with a player in your prep if you're not doing a good vertical? You don't do the vertical.
Right.
If you are prepping and you have a great short shuttle and you have a great bench 225, you can do it 21 times and you're a cornerback. But you're 40 in training, you kept running 4.55s, you're just not going to run.
Right.
So the average is going to get better because of selection bias. So it's almost like people will be like, oh, SAT scores are going up. Well, a bunch of schools don't require the best students to take the SAT anymore because they're just going by like class ranking. So you'll end up with people who are lower trying to test out into the school, right? So that's how I got into UT. I SAT'd my way in because I was lazy as a student.
I definitely did not SAT I locked my key. I went to the SATs. I had spent the night at a friend's house before. Probably wasn't in my best mindset. Woke up, locked my keys in my truck. and I knew my parents were going to have to pay like $200 to get it out and I was going to be in trouble. So just mentally, I was already rattled going into the SAT.
So my SAT, I took it the morning after we beat our rival in our big high school rivalry game in like freezing, terrible conditions. I went out that night, went to Reagan High School where the SAT was given, showed up late. They almost kept me out of the SAT because I'd come in late. Like little people were like they were told to open their books and start working as I walked in.
Yeah.
I begged the lady. She let me in. Oh
no, we lost your audio. Can't hear you. You got to unplug it. Just go computer mic.
There we go.
Yep.
So I show up, the lady, I beg her, she lets me in. I see people already filling out the Scantron, and I'm like, oh. She hands me a book. I go sit down. I'm like, does anyone have a pencil? Someone gives me a number 2 pencil. I took it. I only took it one time. I didn't do any prep classes. I got a high enough score, and I was like, oh, that's easy. Why are all my friends taking Princeton Review? This was easy.
I only took it once.
Until 2 a.m. the night before your SAT and show up late.
Yeah, I only took it once too. I was like, these are not fun to do.
Sugar Poppy, unsurprising, almost got arrested the night before for street racing. Dude should have gone to Georgia.
It seems like there's a theme. No one was really taking the SEC. No one was getting a good night's sleep prior.
Apparently, we were a bunch of screw ups. It's amazing that we got into Texas.
Yep. All right. Anthony Hill. Let's start with Ant. He had a good combine. 40-yard dash. 4.51. Third amongst linebackers. Man, Hill picked a horrible class to go out as a linebacker because
How was a 4.51 third? That's
incredible athletes, man, at linebacker.
I mean, that's crazy.
It was insane. Like, yeah, we'll see if he can get into the first round, but it's going to be really tough with who he's got ahead of him because there's Like they were like, you know, the athlete score they do, the RA, the RAS or whatever.
Mass.
2 of them were 10s, like 10-point perfect.
He's like a 9.7.
Yeah. It was remarkable. He was third in 10-yard split, 10th in vertical jump, third in broad jump, and then he didn't do 3-cone or 20-yard shuttle, and he was third in bench press. So there's a common theme of third, right? But so it's like if he would have just picked a different class, he could have been first in a lot of things. But Ant Hill had a good combine. Any final thoughts there? I thought, yeah, he got hurt towards the end of it, or out of abundance of caution, I think with a hamstring, right?
Yeah.
In the 40, so he didn't do anything past that.
Yeah, I thought the other linebacker, Trey Moore, really showed out. I think he helped himself, because
So did I.
I think there had been some questions about his athleticism overall. And I think a lot of, he just kind of did what we needed in the defense. And that, because at UTSA, he was just pin his ears back and rush the quarterback, which is fun. But that's not what we needed in our defense. And so he did unselfishly those things. And I think people forgot he's a really good athlete.
When he went in the defensive end group.
Yeah.
So there's also there's that trick, right? Because if he's truly a linebacker, of course he's going to be faster than a defensive end generally. So it's also, you just got to see what his position is. But amongst like defensive ends, I think he had a 4.54. So he was fourth amongst ends. And then he didn't bench press. He didn't 3-cone. Vertical jump, 38.5. So I thought he did solid. I think he measured at 6'2", 240. So he's really like a linebacker, like a big linebacker built, like a true off-ball.
He's going to play hybrid linebacker in the NFL.
Well, he's also smart to not test as a linebacker because, like we saw, that was a crazy room. So I think D-end, even though it's probably not his true position, actually benefited him and made him stand out more. So more for more. But I thought he had a good combine. Let's see who else we got next up. I think we got Campbell. Let's see how Campbell did.
Ran a 5.01.
Second amongst guards.
Yeah, that's
good.
Crazy. Yeah.
And this also continues my thing that Campbell could have been the greatest fullback this world's ever seen. And like because he has hands, dude. Like there's tapes of him running routes in high school as a tight end, not on the field, but like at 7-on-7 type stuff. And he's just catching it over the middle. I still think he could have been with a 5'1", too. I think he could have been one of the most legendary H-back fullbacks to ever exist because his athleticism is that of a tight end with that amount of size.
Yeah, we were loaded at guard. So why play him at guard?
Right. I think we had such good guard play. It's like, why do we even need him there? But I still stand by that. Hopefully someone will figure that out in the future with him. But a really good, tied for fourth in the 10-yard split. Not a big vertical jumper at 15th, but a solid.
Did you see how many O-line had like 36-inch verticals?
No, I didn't, but that's weird.
I mean, that's crazy.
I would just see mostly from the O-line, like this guy has a mullet, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's the same joke every year. As soon as someone has a mullet, it's like 50 accounts. Like, that's pretty nice. It's like, all right, guys, let's just keep using the same joke for 10 years now. Injuries.
I didn't see any of his stuff, but I did see the drill where like you run down the line and you catch the ball from different angles and like they evaluate how smooth you are. Man, he did it effortlessly. He's a very coordinated guy, and he tested fine, right? I mean, he's going to be fine. I think he helped himself into the combine because I think people saw how fluid he is, and that guy can get open in the NFL.
He did a 4.6 240. He was tied eighth amongst tight ends, and then his 10-yard split 1.59 seconds was actually second.
Yeah, that's very good.
So that's good off the line stuff. Tied for sixth in vertical, tied for ninth in broad jump. I just think he's one of those guys that is going to be able to find the zone, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a combine thing. It's just he's a good football player, and still don't know why we didn't utilize him effectively. But hopefully in the NFL that occurs. Here's a weird one. Gilbo gets invited, which I wasn't even sure that he should have been.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't participate. So he could be injured. Like, I'm not saying that, but it was a waste of a combine spot. Put Ethan Burke in there, do something like that. But just, hey man, like it's a question if you're even going to get invited and then you don't participate. It's like, what are we doing here type of thing. I'm sure he's injured, but
I don't know what happened. But if he
Yeah.
just went to the combine to interview and do a medical, that's not good. So
yeah. So that was disappointing to see, especially when I don't know why Burke wasn't invited. I think he has all of it. I mean, you have that guy that's that big that had like lacrosse level athleticism, showed up at big moments. I don't know how locked in he is. He's always been kind of laissez-faire. I always loved his interviews, and he had like kind of the surfer stoner somehow kind of like disposition to him, even though he's from from Austin. But it was a bummer that Burke wasn't let in. I think he's for sure an NFL player. But
I think
yeah,
some NFL teams are glad he didn't get to the combine.
right. You'll be able to pick up value for sure. Manny Muhammad, really, really good draft performance.
He tested better than I expected for sure.
He had the fastest 10-yard split.
Yeah.
He was 8th in 40-yard dash at 4.42. But this is the thing with Texas too that's pretty like uniform. We test really well. I think it's because of the high amounts of running we do in the off season, but our guys, like, we can knock Becton for like offensive line strength and that kind of stuff, sure, but overall our guys test pretty well, and I'm always impressed with that. And they oftentimes test better than I'm like, they didn't play that fast, like I never with Manny, I never got speed from his game. I got that he was a good athlete, but I was never like that he's a superiorly fast. So that stuff's always kind of unique and a surprise for me when we get into the combine.
One thing I'll
Matthew
offer on
Boatman.
that, Ohio State sort of dominated the combine in terms of testing, probably linked to the fact that they also recruit great athletes, right? But
Doesn't hurt.
they also have a very meat and potatoes strength and conditioning program, different from ours. Yet they also tested out really well. So I think there's a lot going on there. The best way to test out well in the combine is to have the right parents.
Sorry, I complimented Becton in front of Paul, and we shouldn't do that, man.
Okay, well, I'm going to make you watch like 10 inside zone runs after this.
Yeah, I know exactly. That's what I was gonna say. You cannot get over the offensive line aspect of it, but yeah, having great athletes does not hurt. But I thought Manny had a good combine, and then Manny's from a family of football players. He's always he'll interview well. He's a smart player. And he's always kind of trained like a pro. It's kind of like you saw Atkinson now. Like Atkinson's been training like a pro athlete since he was 16. Manny.
Hey, how big is Atkinson really?
I don't know.
Okay.
What are you suspicious of, a roster listing or something?
My sense is that he's like smaller than people think, but I'm just trying to figure it out.
Well, anytime you look at a roster listing, minus an inch in height and minus 10 pounds automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are
Well,
constant.
I'm not worried about his weight so much. I mean, that's part of it, but I was curious. Is he like even 6 feet?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Michael Taff. Not great, but it's like he only did 2 events, and really it was only 1 event because
he just needed to run.
That's all he did, yeah. And so 4.5, 11th among safeties, and then 1.58 in the 10-yard split. So 9th.
So here's where he would have hurt himself: 4.6 or higher, right? No. So what he ran doesn't take him or move him on any draft board based on what people see on film or the interviews and stuff, right?
Yeah.
That was the necessary thing. He wasn't going to run a 4.3 and like shock the world.
No shot.
But he ran a 4.5, and that's exactly what he needed to run. He didn't hurt himself. And in fact, it was confirmatory for people that already liked him. I think the main thing for him is his body weight still, 190?
Yeah.
So I think in the NFL, he may need to get up in the higher 190s, maybe even 200 pounds, but we'll see.
Yeah, he has to. And then he just has to keep harping on the 2024 tape, and then he'll do great in the interviews. So to me, it's like, look, if you're a team with a real safety need, you're not going to take Taft because you can't justify it, and you're going to, you get fired every 2 years. So you're going to go off measurables. But if you're a comfortable winning team that actually can develop guys and you're smart, that's the team that'll take Taft, right?
Oh, yeah.
They'll say, hey, we don't really need it. We'll take him in a later round. We like his mental eval. And then in 3 years, we'll see where he's at. Once he learns the scheme, he'll be good. So he'll go to a comfortable team, but he won't go to anyone desperate, which I think ultimately will end up benefiting him.
Well, and some of the greatest safeties in the history of the NFL are not particular traitsy type guys.
Correct.
They're
Correct.
they play fast and they think fast. And
if you know the scheme and you can be in the right spot, and Sugar Poppy says, I remember Ed Reed talking about being really slow the second half of his career. He said brains matter a lot. I think that when I see Tap. Yeah, safety is cerebral, man. If you can be in the right spot, or you're looking at a formation, they haven't even ran the concept, but you're like, they run these 3 concepts out of this formation. I can be in the right spot without pure speed. So he is lucky in that regard that safety is such a mental reps position. So we talked to Trey Moore. I think we're good. I think we got through all the guys. Really thin this year. I mean, 2 years ago, Sark is at the combine doing interviews, right? He's kind of the belle of the ball, and I have all these guys. And I keep saying this, but I should have been much more alarm bells last season, because I remember talking through. I was like, "What first rounders do we have?" And we were like, Hill, I think we thought was a for sure then, but that's not even a for sure now. But we talked about it yesterday on the Eric and Charlie live. There's legitimately like 15 guys with eligibility that could go. Now, all of them won't. A lot of them will end up returning and stuff like that. But there's like 15 guys on this team that theoretically could go in the 7 rounds, and I think that matters.
All right. I'm going to offer up. There are plenty. I mean, like Brendan Thompson ran a 4.26, right? I mean, that's not surprising probably. But craziest combine, Taylon Green. Did you see his testing?
No, but I've just heard the conversation around him on that. If you don't make him a quarterback, he could be awesome type of thing.
So 6'6", 230, 4.36 40. Broad jump 11.2. Vertical 43.5 inches. Like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a quarterback testing like that. He broke all the metrics. Same guy. I'm at the game against Arkansas this year. Gets benched for doing an incredibly stupid thing.
He does wild stuff too, man. He does the dumbest stuff.
He's nuts.
He was kind of like Spencer Sanders to me at Oklahoma State, where it's like he would absolutely wow you and then just do the dumbest thing you can think of on top of that. Of course, he's a better athlete than him, but that play style reminds me of Spencer Sanders.
Well, let me ask you, like, you have to draft a guy like that athletic.
If the game is rare human athletes, there you go.
And even if you can't teach him to play quarterback, which there's a possibility you could, the guy could play tight end. Like, you could ask him to put on 25 pounds, right? He could do that in like a
That's
summer.
what I've heard is switch him to something like that.
So, yeah, I mean, you have to draft an athlete like that, but he's so frustrating. I mean, Arkansas had amazing personnel last year on offense.
And he's a quarterback. You know who normally has the best hands on the team?
Yeah, quarterbacks always have
quarterbacks. And like, and no one thinks that, but I don't know if it's just because they've taken thousands more snaps, even though they're not catching like this. That they've handled it more, because even little league to high school, our quarterbacks never draw. And I think it's because in practice, they're always throwing back and forth, right?
Yeah.
With the receiver. So not even in concepts, but like on the sideline, quarterbacks have good hands too. So it's like him at tight end. I think he could be absolutely solid. But that was a unique one. Of course, the Ohio State showouts. Were there any other ones that were just absolute monsters that stuck out to you?
Eli Stowers tested really well.
Yeah.
He had like a 45-inch vertical and he ran a 4.5. I mean, so he's going to be a really good tight end in the NFL. He was a special player. Pavia made Vanderbilt special, but Stowers was an important lieutenant in that endeavor. I'm super interested to see Vanderbilt without the Pavia.
I was about to ask you, what do you think? What do you think happens to Vanderbilt now?
I think they come back to earth, but every time I think that, they put it together. I mean, they're going to be starting a true freshman, albeit a 5-star, but they're going to start a true freshman quarterback. So
that's why I was weary of like a Lee hire or a Lee extension. I just have to see what that looks like without Pavia before I could do the.
Well, I mean, to his credit, he went and got Pavia.
He did.
I mean,
but it's like
guy that did it. A lot of programs were scared of him. They're like, oh, it's not going to
translate. And that foresight's a huge thing. It's just Pavia was something different. It wasn't. You didn't just get a good quarterback. you got this weird transformational kind of cultural leader.
Yeah.
And you can get a transfer quarterback, a good one again, but I don't think you're going to have that level of effect. I mean, he changed the demeanor of the offense and the defense. That was a very unique person on top of being a good quarterback.
People think a cultural transformation guy is always like, yes, sir, no, sir, polite, early to film. Michael Irvin was a crucial cultural guy for the Cowboys in the 90s, and he was buck wild.
Yeah.
But on the practice field, he was insanely intense, all business. If you didn't practice hard, he would try to fight you after practice. Like, you know, but at the same time, off the field, he was a complete maniac. Pavia is kind of like that. And so it's not always Boy Scouts that set a proper culture for your team.
So I did an interview with Quandre Diggs, I don't know, probably 4 years ago now. But one thing he told me, he was like, you have to have the crazy guys on the team. He's like, you have to rein them in. You have to make sure on Saturday night that they're not crossing that there's no legal trouble, right? But he says, he's like, you absolutely have to have, I don't know, 3 or 4 insane guys for your culture. And that always stuck out to me. He was like, you just hope they don't cross the line, but you need them for your group. And we always had that in high school football. You'd have the guy that was just like listening to Slipknot before kickoff, and you'd hear, you know, and just like in a weird mental head, like he thought he was literally going to war.
Yeah.
So like, you know, those guys are, you need them, man. They're important.
Yeah. Kelson was saying never underestimate the power of having an asshole on your defense, because if you come out flat, he'll go pick a fight.
Yep.
And then to defend your teammate, you get fired up. And then suddenly he's got you involved and engaged in the game. And he's like, those guys are really valuable. He's like, you can't have too many of them because you'll just get murdered by penalties. But he's like, you got to have one who, when he senses things are a little slow, he'll just go pick a fight. And then you have to defend him and get your adrenaline up.
We had a psycho. And then one day he came and he's like, I can't practice today, coach. And they're like, why? He's like, I hurt my hand. And he lied about how he hurt his hand. But then he told us he was at a house party and he got in a fight and a dude stabbed a screwdriver through his hand at the party. And that's why. And he later went on to become an Army Ranger.
There you go. That's exactly who we want.
Yeah. And so, you need the crazy guy. You just don't want to end up on CNN for whatever they did on the weekends. But it's important, man. You need it. All right.
That's our hour, man.
Look at that. There's our hour.
Flew by.
Any final thoughts, Paul? Anything that you got to tell the chat?
Go buy your stuff at Academy and go get your mortgage with Gabe Winslow.
There you go. And sign up for Inside Texas. You can join for $1. Spring ball is about to start. So Eric's going to be dropping all the team notes, all this stuff. We're finally almost we're officially out of February, but out of the dead spell. This is the most boring time of the year. And now we're about to actually get some football. And the cherry on top is we'll get to see a spring game on top of that. Everybody, this was IT Live, and it was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Stay tuned in, guys. We're going to have a recruiting intel coming up live, so you'll know what's going on. Recruiting is heating up as well. And then later on, Eric and myself will do a little team dive Q&A. So stay locked in on the channel, everybody. Have a great day. Later.